About 2 weeks ago, I ended up writing an article on self-worth, and I used an analogy in there that was very similar to the one that I used on the self-love and self-worth live broadcast. And this was an analogy that came to my mind when I was out running last year, and on my way back, I thought about how if someone was to plant an apple tree or to plant an apple seed, they might have to water the plant and do other things, but that plant will grow and it will produce fruit. The earth won't say, well, you haven't done this or you haven't done that or you're not worthy of this fruit. Nature will simply give the tree what it needs, and as time goes by, it will produce fruit that anyone will be able to eat. And when it comes to self-worth, this is something that is inherent. So once it is there, someone will be able to fulfill their needs. They might have to take a few steps, but once this is in place, they will be able to attain what they desire. But very often, of course, this sense of self-worth and deserving is not in place. And then it doesn't matter what someone does, because even if they are able to attract what they want, they can end up sabotaging it and pushing it away, because through not having this in place, this felt sense of worth, it will be very difficult for them to accept the good that the world has to offer. And a key part of really knowing this at the core of their being is to let go of the blocks, the pain, the trauma, so they can simply accept that they are inherently worthy and deserving, and then their life can flow. So back to what I wrote, this is what I said in this article titled, "You are worthy." If someone is in a position where they don't feel worthy of having what they need and want, it might not matter what they do. They can then have the tendency to work really hard, but it won't change how they feel. This can mean that they will rarely have what they need and want, and will often be deprived. Yet, when they do have what they need and want, they can experience a sense of guilt and shame. So, while there should be a time when they feel comfortable with what is going on and perhaps be able to enjoy it, it will be a time when they feel deeply uncomfortable. To make themselves feel better, they can consciously and or unconsciously end up doing something that will change what is going on. For example, they can end up starting a relationship, and before long, they could do something that will cause the relationship to come to an end. On one level, this will cause them pain, but at another, deeper level, it will allow them to settle down once again. Without even going to this level, though, it can be hard for them to accept that they deserve even the basics, such as a roof over their head, enough money to buy what they need, and to have the clothes that they need. This will make it clear that feeling comfortable with having their needs met will be a challenge, let alone having their wants met. Now, if they were to think about how long they've been this way for, they could find that they have more or less always been this way. At this point, it could be said that they were born this way. Living this way is going to take a lot out of them, and if their life doesn't change, it could even lead to an early death. Ultimately, they will be a human being, but they will act like a human doing. Not only this, they will be worthy of having what they need and want, but this is not going to be something that they will be able to accept. If they were to hear this, even if part of them can accept it, another stronger part of them won't be able to do so. What this will illustrate is how much influence this other stronger part of them has over their inner world and life. Still, irrespective of how much control this has and how accurate this part of them may appear to be, it doesn't mean that it reflects the truth. Another part of this is that thanks to how long they have experienced life in this way, it will seem as though there is not another way for them to experience life. they can believe that this is how their life will always be. One thing that can allow them to see themselves differently is for them to imagine that they have a garden and they were to plant an apple tree. By receiving the right nutrients, it won't be long until apples start to grow. What this will show is that the earth didn't say, no, this tree is not worthy of life, so I won't provide it with what it needs to grow and produce fruit. There was no question of whether it was or wasn't worthy. The support was unconditionally provided. Furthermore, the earth didn't say, you are not worthy of the fruit that this tree will provide, so I won't give this tree what it needs to grow. Once again, there was no question of if they were or were not worthy. The support was unconditionally provided. Right now, one could be wondering what this has got to do with them being worthy of having what they need and want. What they can keep in mind is that the earth is their mother, which means they are a child of the earth. Due to the experiences that they have had, perhaps during their early years, they will have come to see a mother as someone who is very conditional and thus needs to be pleased in order to be loving and supportive. The experiences that they had with their own mother and perhaps father would have stopped them from developing a felt sense of love, worth, and deserving. This would have also caused them to form a very depriving inner mother, and this will be projected onto others and the earth itself. As a result of this, when it comes to receiving what they need and want, they will see the world as depriving, and they won't feel worthy either. Keeping in mind that the earth is their mother and they are her child won't necessarily transform their life, but it will most likely allow a seed to be planted in their consciousness that will grow as time passes. A big part of what will allow them to know this at the core of their being will be for them to resolve their emotional wounds and trauma that they are carrying. If they are ready to do this, they may need to reach out for external support. This is something that can be provided with the assistance of a therapist or a healer. If you would like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.